What's going on, guys? I know I just recently made a shop update video for you, but there are a couple new things that I wanted to make another video about that I didn't really get a chance to mention in my last video. And that's simply some new things that I've recently acquired in the shop and kind of got set up for. But before I do that, I do want to show you what I spent the majority of tonight working on with what limited time I did have out here. I spent just about completing another Oswego fixed blade, this one in a Scandi ground configuration again. And for this one, for the handles, I used a 1/8 inch black G10 with some 40 thousandths thick toxic green liners for contrast. And again, for my Scandi grind, you can probably see the light reflecting off that. I did do a micro bevel there at the very edge. Now I do grind these all the way to 0 first, and then I kind of back bevel them a little bit just to reinforce that thin, delicate edge. So we got about 10 degrees per side, 20 inclusive for the main bevel, and then I take it to about 25 or 30 degrees for a small back bevel, which should make that a little bit stronger and more durable there. So very happy with how this is coming out so far. And just need to make the sheath, Kydex sheath, and then this will be offered for sale on a first come first served basis. And it is currently not yet spoken for. Price on this is going to be about $150, including the Kydex sheath. And prices will vary for future models based on materials used. But the median price should be about $150 for these. Now, as for some new things I did want to mention, I did recently go with a new stenciling company for my maker's marks, TUS Technologies Incorporated out of New Bedford, Massachusetts. And up until now, I have been going with Ernie Gruspich with Blue Lightning Stencils. I've been going to him for probably a couple years now. Had several orders with him over the years, and really have never been dissatisfied with Ernie himself, or for the most part his product. Ernie's a great guy, very personable, very quick turnaround, and always gets my order right. Everything goes smooth with that. But one thing I've noticed, and this really isn't speaking bad about Ernie or his product, I think both are great. But personally, for the way that I do my stencils with my homemade machine, homemade electrolyte solution, and my technique, I noticed that I've been burning through stencils at a pretty fast rate. And again, I don't think that's really indicative of any kind of quality issues with Ernie's product. I think his product's great. In fact, I know several makers who swear by him, who use his stencils as well, and have great success with it. And a lot of that really, I think, is just my technique and the equipment and the way that I do my etches. So please don't take this as saying anything bad about Blue Lightning Stencils or their product. I do think they're great. I think they're well-made stencils, very durable, and I think if you have the proper equipment, a professional electrolyte solution, and the right technique, you really shouldn't have any problems with that. But all that being said, I was going through them pretty quickly, so I did want to try some other stencils just to see if maybe I could mitigate that problem with some different stencils rather than different equipment and a different technique. So ended up looking into this company here based on a recommendation from Brian Fellholter on the Usual Suspect Network. And he had made a video showing how he did his stencils and etching and where he got them from. And after doing some research into their website, I was first drawn to a statement they made on being able to get hundreds, if not thousands, of etches per stencil using their product. So that definitely piqued my curiosity quite a bit and motivated me to look into them some more. And after kind of studying their product, their stencils, and what they're about, I noticed they had very nice pricing as well. Now you do pay a first time setup fee per stencil or per design, depending on how you submit that first design. I actually got two different marks made, which is just one setup fee since it's on the same sheet. But I got my AR logo and then my A. Riley 1095 logo made. So they had good pricing. The amount of stencils or etches per stencil seemed very good. And then another thing was the material they use. They mentioned was very translucent, which you could actually see. I'll just put against, let me put against this knife here. You can actually see and read my maker's mark underneath that. I don't know how well it'll show up on video. But looking at it here with my eyes, I can actually read my mark, and it's much easier to position these exactly where I want them than it was for the stencil material that Ernie provides, which you can see is a little bit darker. And while it is translucent to a degree, because it's so shiny and a little bit thicker, a little bit darker, it is harder to position and see through. This is more of a matte finish and a little bit thinner. Now that is one thing you may want to consider. It is a little bit more delicate, a little thinner. These are much thicker, almost like a mylar or a thicker mylar, and probably a little bit more durable in that regard. So definitely consider that if you're making up your mind. But overall, I've been very happy, not only with the company, the setup, and the stencils, but seems like they're working a little bit better for me. Now, I've only done a few stencils so far, but I'm not really seeing the immediate curling of the material from the heat of my etch pad. Nor am I seeing the letters getting muddied up or dirty, or the resolution fading like I do when I use Ernie's stencils, which again is more my technique and my equipment than anything. Now, one other thing that may be contributing to that as well, just to be fair, I have made a new etch pad, which may be working a little bit better, maybe not heating the stencils as much. Definitely don't want to roll that out. But that's another thing I did want to show you guys. This is a new etch pad, like I say, that I made myself pretty much for free, very quickly, very cheaply. I would like to make this a little bit more professional looking. But I learned about this trick from Brian Fellholter, who also turned me on to those stencils in that company. But what I have here is nothing more than a brush for a large industrial size motor, and there's many different kinds of brushes, different materials, different sizes, different configurations. This particular one is just a copper, or maybe like a mixed copper bronze alloy block, which makes up the main brush there, and then it's got some leads, as they all do, drilled and soldered into the body of the block. And then there's usually a clip on the end. This one's a U-shaped clip for screwing or bolting into a terminal block. I just clipped my alligator lead on that, taped it up, insulated it, and I just did kind of a quick and dirty job here. Taped a felt pad to the end of it, and you can kind of see that alloy under the pad there. But there are carbon-based blocks. There's different materials. Usually they're radiused at the end to follow the armature of the motor. You just grind these flat, insulate them, wire them up, and you're good to go. Put your pad, something to soak up your electrolyte solution on the end, and there's really nothing to it. And what you get, in my opinion, or at least for my purposes, I get a more consistent conductivity, more consistent approach to my etch there, and it's a lot better than what I was using, which was an even more poorly made etch pad, or sometimes just a Q-tip. So that's another tip for you guys if you're looking at a quick and easy and very cheap etch pad solution. Just find some old motor brushes, square up the ends, insulate them, and you're good to go. And if you're looking for a new stencil company, I definitely recommend these guys. You will pay the setup fee, one-time setup fee per design. But then after that, it's very cheap for a whole sheet of stencils, and definitely looking like I'm going to like these as much as Ernie's, if not a little bit more, for my applications. So definitely try them out, guys. Maybe try them both, compare them. Like I say, Ernie's a great guy, great company, but it seems like TUS, from all indications, is a very nice company as well. So that's all I wanted to mention, guys. This video ran a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I appreciate your watching. Any questions, comments, please leave them below or send me a message. I'll see you guys later.